You should now see my desktop. Yes. Okay. And yes. We have audio. Okay. There we go. Yep, we have audio. Perfect. So this tutorial I'm doing, I have no plan, no script. We are just winging it as if I was creating a livery from scratch. I have done no prep. I literally just decided on the car a minute ago as to which one I'm going to do. And we will go step by step. If you have any questions as I go along, please comment. I do have text to speech going as well, so we'll get that. I'll answer your questions as well. Please be patient with me. I've never done a tutorial before, so this is where we're going to start. So as I said, decided on a car. We're going to do the ACF GT3, the Porsche 992, and we have done absolutely zero prep work. And the first thing we will do is go make, close these windows because that was for something else. We're going to go make a folder in our template. And I like to
Mr. Trock 22. First time here. Is this K-Dub?
This is K-Dub. This is K-Dub. That's right. I guess I introduced myself. I'm K-Dub, Kevin Woodward, the guy that does our live streams, mostly on Hi. So, yeah, as I was saying, I like to keep my folders for skin templates matching the same name as the actual car folder. It just helps for quick flipping back and forth. So to do that in Content Manager, go to your Content tab, Cars, and hit Folder. You get this, you can get the name here, and then personally, your skin templates should be saved in this directory here, Assetto Corsa, SDK, Dev, Skin Templates, and whatnot. I personally
In
have it all
Haskell.
fitted here.
6, 7. Good evening. Looking forward to good tutorial.
Thanks.
Frankamarua 98. Hee Kevs.
Hello guys. And so we're just going to create a new folder for the Porsche and pop that in here. Now in Content Manager, we are going to pull up the car in CM Showroom. Oh, and then one thing we do want to do is I already closed that one. I'm going to reopen the folder for the car. This is the actual car, not the skin template. We're going to go into skins and we're going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this Hi Racing because that's the livery we're going to make. And that is going to where our DDS files are going to show up there. And it then creates a nice blank slate for us. Now to create the template, we select the body and you will see TX diffuse. And whatever this file name is, that's what you're going to export your skin to, but we'll get to that later. I like to copy that name, as he said, click to copy, and we're going to click these three dots. The first thing we're going to do is calculate the AO. By default, it would be 2048. I like to paint in 4K. So we're going to go to calculate map of custom size. We're going to do 4096 by 4096 to get it equal and square. Click OK. Give it a moment. And it will render. It will pop up behind here in a moment. It says please wait. I don't know how long this tutorial will take. I'm kind of ballparking 3 hours. We'll see how far we get along in it. So now that this has popped up, we want to hit this save button. This is our AO. That's going to give us all that shading and stuff that you like that gives you depth in the car.
Frankamarua 98.
Save.
5H tutorial.
5-hour tutorial. And we will, normally I like to go into the skin templates here, and we'll go to Porsche, and it was this one here. and by default it's going to save as the file, the DDS. We don't want that. I am going to instead, I like to identify what it is, and we're going to save it as a PNG. And unfortunately this blocks this. We'll hit save. And now we need to close this. Now we also want a wireframe that's going to help us get some alignment and stuff when working on in Gimp. And we're going to do this in 4096. Now, I don't know why. The wireframe has this option, whereas the AO does not. So we don't have to do custom resolution, but you want to use the same, whatever you do. And so we'll wait for it to pop up. And again, we will save this. And again, we will go back to our skin templates, Porsche. And this one we're going to call wire. You can name it whatever you want, but I like to be pretty clear as to what I'm working with, the files. And this one by default chooses PNG, which is perfect. You want PNG because it's going to give some transparency values on that. And now we can close that and we can close this. We're going to prepare GIMP by creating a new image. And I personally have created a template on a preset within GIMP called 4K Livery, which is 4096 by 4096. And we will click into Advance and scroll down, and we're going to choose Transparency for the fill width. It's just, you'll see why in a second, and we will click OK. Everything else here is default, so nothing to worry about there. And we'll click OK. It's going to tell me you're creating a big file. I know, I'm doing it on purpose. We will rename that to base. Again, you can rename it however you want. We will pull up our template folder here. We've got the AO and the wire. You can either open these up in GIMP, or easy way is just simply drag and drop. And we'll do the same with the wire, drag and drop. And because it's all the same size, it magically puts it all on top where it needs to go. We're going to rename, again, personal preference here, the wireframe to wire. I'm going to rename this to AO just to get rid of excess stuff. Now, this is one step that I'm going to say is important. It's not a must, but it's going to make your life easier, is we're going to create a layer group. We're just going to call it paint. You can call it whatever you want. We're going to leave the wireframe above. We're going to put the AO inside and our base layer inside. All of the painting we're going to do, any logos, whatnot, are going to be inside this group. The wire is going to remain outside. And the reason for that is when we export, we can select the group layer and export the DDS, and it will take everything except for the wireframe and export that into the file we want. The other step you're going to do is you're going to select the AO, and we're going to change the layer mode, and we're going to go to multiply. You watch how this changes. Right now the livery itself would be, we'll turn off the wire, black and white. If I were to paint this color, let's go blue, nothing happens. We get the black and white on the car. If I exported this, we have a white car. Yay, boring, right? So we're going to change this to multiply. What that does is it allows it to be kind of semi-transparent and allows the shading to come through. And now whatever we paint is going to go below the AO. Keep the AO as your top layer in this group to help give the card depth. And now what we'll do is we will grab this file name, the extension, again, click the copy, and this is all about saving often. So we're going to save this as a file. We're going to go into our skin templates, look for the Porsche, We want to keep the XCF extension, so we're going to copy that, delete the DDS. XCF is Gimp's version of a layered file. Like if you ever see PSD for Photoshop, this is XCF. And all we're going to do is save that. That keeps the layers. There we go. Allows that to go away. All right, allows us to keep the layers. So we've got to save it, and the reason why we're going to save it the same name that is the livery is just because on export it's going to be a lot easier. We don't have to guess what the file name is. If I were to export this now and see what the car looks like in blue, we will go to File, Export. Now we're going to navigate to Cars, Porsche. Let's, come on, give me alphabetical order. That one. Skins, and see, you can just start typing and it will pull things up. Hi, boom. And we're going to name this to DDS. And export this to DDS. The reason why we're doing DDS is because that's what Assetto Corsa relies on. Sometimes it can read PNG, and I have a trick using PNG for super high resolution and detail and converting to DDS. But for the purpose of working and exporting to keep things very fluid, we'll go straight to DDS, and I'll do the PNG trick as a final thing. We'll do that. So we want the BC3 DXT5 and selected layer. Again, that's going to be the paint. And do that. And because we're just working, I don't care about the maps being generated. And we will export that. Now, if we go look at the car, it is now blue. Wonderful, isn't it? Great. Good job. You painted a livery. Kidding. We're not gonna stop there. That's just so. Here we are. We're in Gimp. We have our template. We have a base color. This is where I'm actually going to. We're gonna start with a white base. So we're gonna change it back to white.
Frankamarua98. Thanks for watching the tutorial. In Haskell, it auto-updates on CM Showroom every time you save it.
Every time you export it. Not so. There's two things you got to do. One is saving this frequently. Just by going to save, just saves the XCF file. But if I change this to here, I now have to go to File, Export. Now,
Frankamarua98. If you export the DDS.
Yeah.
Frankamarua98. With PSD files works in real time.
Interesting. That I didn't know. But since
Frankamarua98.
XCF,
every time you hit Control+S.
So this is what we can do. Because we've already exported it while Gimp is open, we have a quick way to export it. I don't have to select the options. So I can either go File, Export Skin, or on my keyboard, which you can't see, I hit Control E and it exports. You can actually see each time I do that, my cursor doesn't load, but you can see image exported. See how that's changing? Tell me that. And it's now white. Does it automatically? Wow, that was weird. So yes, the key is exporting often so that you can see what your changes are kind of real time. And you'll see because things aren't lined up. We'll turn the wireframe back on and we're going to do my personal preference. But yeah, because things aren't lined up, like if I want to paint a line going across through, I've got to try and work to line those things up. And I don't want to do a lot of work and then export it and then find out I've totally missed the mark. So it's a lot of back and forth. Normally I'm on 2 monitors to do it, but for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm on one, so I don't get to work as efficiently as I'd like to. This lime green is terrible, so we're just going to make it nicer on the eyes. We'll go to color, selecting the wireframe, and we will go to colorize. Where is it? Where is it? Colorize, down here. By default, it chooses this teal color. It's nice enough for me, so I don't bother changing it. We could change it if we want to. Just makes it softer on the eyes. You wanted something that's still going to be visible as you paint, right? You could make it white, but anytime you paint white, you're going to lose it in the background there. So like you can see, it gets a little harder to see here with that. Now, I'm going to pull up some graphic logos that we have here. Our wonderful hi stuff. I'm pulling this up just because I want color reference. We want a blue, and we want this red. Primarily this blue to start. Made the base white. We'll make a new layer, and we will call it blue. Now there's two aspects. You can make layers for every little shape that you paint, and I used to do
In
that.
Haskell. Freak_Valley_2.
You could do that, right? Every single shape that you make, you paint a new layer, but you'll end up with umpteen number of layers, and trying to sort that out gets a little cumbersome. I used to do that until I found the world of masking. So we're gonna fill this layer as blue. But we said, why, Kevin? Why did you create a white base if you're just gonna paint it blue? We're going to add a mask. So you right click on the layer and we go to add layer masks. What this does is it's going to create a second layer where we can choose how transparent this layer is. Basically, we can choose what parts are visible, which are not. These two options are one and the same. White means it'll be fully visible. Black means it'll be fully transparent. All we're choosing is what to start with the mask. If I chose white, it will make the mask fully white where everything will be visible. I'm going to choose black because I actually want the blue to be hidden until I choose where it's going to be shown. And we'll click add. So now we can't see the blue, but it still exists. It's visible. And now to get some lines, we're going to use this paths tool. It's very handy, and we'll paint some stuff. All right, so I think what we'll do is I'm going to pull up. I like to look at the 3D model of the car and kind of plot out what I want to do. Now, in keeping with our international troublemakers design, we have an upper line that kind of comes from about here, comes up at an angle, and then shoots upward right into the glass. So that is what I'm going to start working on with that design, and that's blue. I personally do a gradient, but that's a whole other level that involves some 3D painting, which I'm not going to get into here because I'm scraping the surface on how to use that 3D paint myself, so no sense of doing it. And another trick is while you're in Content Manager, if you press the W button, the W key, you will get a wireframe. Hit it again, you'll lose the color of the car and get a white wireframe. Great for getting some reference, finding parts, and whatever as to where to go. So we're going to start the line. I think we're going to aim for about here, which looks to be 1,
Mr.
2,
Truck
3.
22. Cool, I didn't know that.
See, we're learning. We're learning. So I'm going to look on the door for this kind of row of wireframes show up because I'm going to start, I think I want to start right around there. So that's going to be like the third 1, 2, 3, the bottom of the third one that shows up, right? So here we go. This is the one we're looking for. 1, 2, 3. We're going to place our node outside. And we're going to start coming up to there. We do have this break, so rather than stretching a line all the way across and doing something which won't match up, we're simply going to create another node, which gives us a break and another line, straight line. And as I said, I want it to go up to the window. Um, Now you can treat this like a selection tool, which we will. We want to we can do two things with this pathway tool. We can use it to draw a line. We can also use it to fill in an area. So because I'm actually going to do something that does both and fill it in, I want to close it off for the most part. If I was just doing a line, I would leave it like this. But since we're going to do a filled in area, we're going to simply bring it up here. We can be a bit more relaxed with it. And at this point, we can do one of two things. I can either close it off by holding, oh, I don't have to hold anything. Close it off by click on here, which will create a full loop. Or I can leave it open. I personally like to leave it open because it allows me to edit more if I need to delete nodes or do whatever. I can do that later than closing off. Okay, and we are going to start now by making this visible, and we want to see how this line matches up. It's likely not, I don't expect it to, but I just want to get a sense. So we're going to make our colors black and white, right? Because here we got this black. We know that in order to make the blue visible, I need to draw white. So we're going to make white our foreground color while we still have the pathway tool engaged. We're going to go stroke path. Okay. It asks us which color we want. This is actually something new I've noticed in old versions of Gimp. It always only used the foreground color. It didn't give you an option. It would either be foreground color or pattern. So we're going to use foreground color. The line width, I'm just going to start with 10. Wide enough to allow me to see it, but not too crazy. The styles, I don't tend to play with these too much. Like you can add, do different things, but we just want a solid line on that. So, and then we hit stroke. And so see how it now makes that appear. Um, I made these smaller the other time. Let me preview size large. There, that should help you. So you can actually see in here now that you can see where the white is where blue is, and that makes the blue appear where we want it. We are going to export this, so we'll select the paint, hit my Control E, and you can actually see the color. We'll hit W to get rid of it, and you can see how god awful I have it matched up. But you start getting a sense as to what we're trying to do here. All right, I can make some decisions now because we have the layer or the pathway tool available to us. Um, I want to decide first is this the angle I want to go with? Um, what I can do is I have a different car that I want to use as a reference just to help give me some guidance because I'm trying to keep things uniform. So in Content Manager, you see multiple cars. You can select that and you go add new car. You get the full list. Any car you want in the world, you can do that. So we are going to pull up the Lexus. All right, we can select our skin. So we're going to select the original that we made, and it's going to bring in that beauty. Now, great, Kevin, you've blocked your view. Press T. It allows you to move the car, and we're just going to move it back a bit. That way it's there when I want it. And we'll hit T again to get rid of those options. And if you hold your middle mouse key, you can now move things. So just trying to get a sense as to what kind of angle, what kind of height we want going. Here, you know what, I'm gonna just pop it right in behind for some easier viewing. So I probably want this to start a little bit lower and probably come up to the same spot with that. So we're making some adjustments, and we then know that this secondary line needs to move. So we will go back to our GIMP from here, because I don't want to keep this outline here. I'm going to hit Control Z, which doesn't get rid of the path, but it gets rid of the line that we made, right? And I'm just going to make a little adjustment there just because we're getting some overspray. All right. And we want to, where do we want to bring this down to? So let's go there. If we went there, let's go two more. We'll go down two from that, and we'll keep that one spot up, and we'll see how that is. Liveries are not a fast thing to do. They can be fast if you wanted to turn. I think that's going to be too much of an angle, so we're going to drop that. I don't mind that it goes through the door a little bit. And so that's going to be that way. I know this is going to have to drop down quite significantly as well. Right, so we can see from here the shape of this intake, that little shadow there, that's going to show up in the AO. So it gives me a reference point as to where this needs to come. That's that shadow right there. So we are just going to keep it out. We're going to bring it roughly in place. And I think this might need to drop down a bit. We'll find out. And again, we will go back and stroke it and give it another 10. And the reason why I'm stroking now instead of filling is just I'm working at lines. It gives me a better idea as to showing how much I want done. So I might do, yeah, I'm going to leave that that angle there. We'll need to drop that down a bit, and then we might need to make an adjustment for that over the fender. So we'll come back, we'll hit Control Z, and yes, it's tedious. I know. I should have been smart and actually looked at where on the wireframe we wanted, but I didn't. We'll rinse and repeat. All right, and re-export. Um, yeah, so now you can see we're getting closer, right? Uh, lines aren't going to be perfect, I think, because of how fat that is come around the like the fender. I think I might want to be a little bit more aggressive on the height to try and keep this point higher up just for the view, right? So we will try that and see how that looks. Again, if this was just a sloppy tutorial I was trying to do, I probably wouldn't care. However, I'm trying to get some progress on a livery I'm actually making, so that this is productive for me, as productive for me as it is for you. Think about there, and we will bring this up and tighter along. Um, Right, because I've watched some tutorials where they slap together something and you're like, oh, that kind of looks like poop, but you've shown me some very basics uh, going on, and it's like I want to see someone that takes some care and does something that they would actually want to do for themselves. Okay, so we gotta bring that down. I think I'll pop that up a little bit just because that is very aggressive now. Um, okay, so a lot of this is just doing and undoing and just kind of seeing how things go. I should really be paying more attention to the wireframe Um, I will do that next. I'll get, but because I'm just trying to get like the general look of things there, I like that better for for it. And I think think what I'll do is I will bring this up to match rather than dropping that down below, and I might then bring that up. So we will look at the wireframe. Uh, it's all about trying to find which one works better for your eyes here. So we can see, it's going to be really hard to see here. There is a wire here that this kind of hits in the middle. So I know I need to be just like a pixel or two below where that wire hits. We're kind of in the middle one. So we will, this might be easier to see. You can see that one. So that's what I'm aiming for, but just slightly below. On that, right, so we're here, that's the one we're going for, but I do want to be touch below, and we will bring this. Look, I'm right back to where I originally started. Silly Kevin. Let's see. Uh, so stroke, export, boom. Look how beautiful it lines up. The line's not perfect, but we've got a matchup here, nearly a matchup made in heaven. So I will bring that down by a pixel, and I think generally we will then adjust this one as to how much. Maybe I'll bring that one up by a pixel, and then we'll adjust that part of the line on that part there. So again, this is literally, you can see there's a pixel. I'm not worried how much I move here. I'm watching where this line intersects this wireframe. We'll literally want to come up a pixel, and we'll export again and get through that. I probably should have left it there. Pretty damn close. Uh, Trying to mirror on the wall. Can you please get out of my way? Let's try to see. It does look like it kinks up a bit, so I think I need to. What do we say? You guys, a quick vote. What's your view? I can bring this down a touch to lower it, or I can drop this uh, down to kind of meet up the aggressive. I'm leaning towards this because I really hate how wide that starts to get. Uh, Leave your comments quickly. You got like 10 seconds to vote. If it say front door or rear fender as to which one I should adjust.
In Haskell. 2.
Two being say either fender or door, please. Going once.
In Haskell. Fender.
Okay. Thank you, right? We will do that. Everybody else is just kind of watching, be like, I don't want to interrupt the class. Fine, be that way. So we don't need to come down much. We're just testing. We know that's all okay, so this is more eyeballing, right? Trying to see where we need to go. And whatnot. I think that needs to come down by a pixel, basically, and yeah, okay. Nope, that shouldn't be over there. Sorry, guys. Not sure why that flipped over. Okay, so we will do that. We'll drop this by a pixel, and let's see what else do we need. I think we need to drop this. Not by much, just by that. Like we're talking like so many movements. Yes, could say, well, Kevin, you're close enough. But I don't like to spend time on liveries to be close enough. So this door needs to come up there. Stroke, stroke. Oops. See, here's the other thing. You gotta watch that you chose like if uh, I put white on the blue, which isn't visible because that's transparent. So you gotta make sure that you are on the correct layer or mask that you're working on with that. I think for the purpose of showing this line, that's good enough. All right. And what we'll get to do is my effect. Because if you see here, this one's got a nice, we've got our main color, got some white space, and an outline. You're like, so Kevin, you got to do this twice? No, no, man. We take the lead. We put a lot of work into this. I'm not going to throw it away. So we're just going to undo this. First, we're going to fill the path. All right, we're going to get our color. We'll see how that goes now. Should be nice. Right, perfect. And now we're going to use that path one more time, doing the exact same thing. Okay. This time,
Mr. Trock 22. Have you ever tried using Armor Paint? You can paint lines directly on the 3D model.
I have armor paint. And I haven't figured out how to paint nice lines yet. I'm literally scratching the surface into armor paint. That's how I did the gradient, was using armor paint, right? Super nice. So I use it for gradients, but I haven't gotten to actually painting it yet. I do want to learn, but I figured me doing a tutorial is not the way to learn. So once I master or get good enough at it, um, perhaps I'll do another tutorial in the future on how to do it, because the two tutorials I found were helpful, but not the best. So I need to.
Mr. Trock 22. Same, I suck with it. I still use Gimp same as you're doing.
Yeah, 3D painting is just trying to wrap my head around. So on this point here, we are now going to use this and we're going to stroke this path. So we filled it, we're going to stroke it, which is going to make it bigger. We're going to start with a 25 stroke, which is going to make it wide, right? Makes it super wide. We're going to have to do some cleanup on there likely, but we'll see how it goes. Makes it wider, but now we want the gap. So we're going to now, we can either reverse it or keep it the same. We're going to stroke path again. This time we're going to tell it to use the background color, the black, and right? And we're going to reduce this to 15. Remember how the black makes things transparent, white makes things visible. So we're going to add a transparent section here. Stroke it. So that's how we get a nice parallel line to the shape that we made. If I want to close that gap a bit more, I can refill it and close the gap and keep things nice and tight. We'll export that. And there we go. So that's the beauty of being able to use masks and all that, is you're using the black and white to help you along. So yeah, we're gonna have some cleanup on the what I'll call overspray and go from there. And remember, I said save often. I haven't saved this yet. Last thing I want is my system to crash. All right. So we're just gonna take a quick look, see if there's anything we need. Now you'll notice as soon as I choose another tool, this path is going to disappear. But what if later on I want to figure out I figure I want to edit it or do something with it. So we will choose that. Um, we'll get to that. So right now I'm just going to clean up this extra bit. I don't need to be this detailed, but we're just going to get rid of any little bit that needs doing. Now we can be sloppy, come back here, and we're just going to fill that in with black to make it disappear. Select and none. Now, I could spend the nearly 45 minutes I just did on recreating this over here and hope that I get it looking the same. Or in your layers tools, you can select here. This is, see how it matches. That's your pathway. This is my pathway. It shows up there. Okay. We're going to find the center of this car, which is this line right here. We're going to pull down a guide. So all you do is click into the ruler, bring it down, and drop it into middle. Okay. While I can just move this to where I want it, I always like to leave myself options. So we're good. Excuse me. Duplicate this path. All right. We'll make this invisible so that we don't do anything with it. We're going to choose our flip tool. Come on. Don't be stupid, Gimp. Choosing our flip tool. By default, it's going to want to transform your layers. That's selection and that's image. So, and normally you can do that, but since we've got a path, I'm going to select the path tool. So while they are all different, you can see they all look roughly the same with the a line and three dots. You can choose on here as to how you want to flip it horizontal or vertical, right? That's great if you're just flipping it in spot. By default, it's going to go horizontal. If I hold control, it will flip the other way. Where did it go? Oh, it ended up down there for some reason. Weird. Right? So you can hold control to do that. We'll undo that, put it in the right spot. But the reason why we put this guide here is if I click on it, see how it changes? Like I'm not holding my left hand's free, it's not on the keyboard, I only have a mouse. Click on it and boom, it puts it on here. Now, these door panels may not be in the exact same spot um, in the distance from here to here as it is from here to here, but we're going to trust that it is to start. We're going to go back to our layers, go back here. We're going to choose our path. So the red just means that it's visible. You need to use your path tool, select it, get the nodes. We're not going to edit in any way. And we will go back to fill. Okay. And then we will do the stroke. Here's some remembering. I did 25. Right. Oops. Wait. Stroke. I have to remember to choose foreground color 25 to get the nice big bold. And then we will stroke again, choosing background color, going 15, stroking that, and then we did a fill again. I guess we can do the fill after, because I mean we're filling it twice anyways. So, but we'll fill this again, foreground color, and fill. All right, and let's export that and see how that goes. Say it looks pretty good. I'm not trying to get things perfect on here. Like, yeah, there's like a little bit of a dip, but I think that's more due to um, the shape. Like the door kind of more comes inward, and we have that, so it kind of distorts that. So we're not gonna fuss around with that. And this looks to be in the same spot, right? Like we can see in relation to those parts. So I'm happy. We're about as close as you can probably be symmetrical on that. So really, really happy. Sometimes you have to adjust it by a pixel or two upwards, and I will show you how to do that as well. So say if we needed, I'm not going to undo the filling, but say if we needed to move this downward a little bit, we would choose our move tool. I hate those tooltips. All right. Select the move tool. And again, we can see, select what we're moving. We're going to select our path. We're just going to click on it. It doesn't make the nodes appear like our pathway tool, but the fact that it briefly appears with an outline tells you we've got it selected. And I personally will use my arrow keys to move up or down, left or right, just because you need to make such subtle movements. Whereas if you dragged with your mouse, it would go all over the place. So let me just hit Control Z. There. Perfect. That's where we want it. And we will save this. So we want to hide this now at this point. We no longer need it visible. We're done with that. But we'll keep these here just because if we do need to edit it in the future, we can. We will come in here and clean up our overspray. Cool trick. If you hold Control and use your mouse wheel, you can zoom in and out. If you move your mouse wheel to different parts of the screen, you can zoom and out into different sections, which helps you move around a lot faster than trying to use the stupid scroll things. So we are all about trying to find efficiencies here. I'm not a master on keyboard shortcuts, but I learn what I need, and we will fill that now with the black to make that disappear. So we'll just export again, make sure nothing is overspray, and we are good to go there in that regard. I won't get into the finer details as to like doing these lines necessarily. We can let's throw on an international troublemaker logo and kind of get that placement in there, and then we can work on the bottom bit. I saved the high colors typically to last once I get the main, just because it's finer detail on there. So we'll throw on a logo. Where's our international? We have two versions, both. The reason why we have two versions, one is a left and a right side, because of the flags, particularly the US flag, where the stars always fly forward. All right, so we will drag those onto, that did not drag. Drag it on, and we'll drag the other one on too. All right, for my own sanity, I'm just going to make this smaller. If you guys need to see any detail here, ask and I'll make the layers bigger again, but we'll just make it back to my own sanity on there. When it comes to logos, I like to create a layer group within. And so we will just go here and call it decals so that we can plunk in here. Reason being is if I go from working from decals to the main body or need to make adjustments, I can at least collapse them and focus on what I want to work on with that. And let's go with, see, we need to make sure we have the right tool selected, move, and going to our layer. Yes, that's forward. That's the one we want. We're gonna have to scale. Oh, we are moving both. All right. Actually, that's actually perfect, right? Yeah, that's. Even though I learned something new, I never even thought about editing these scales, these two layers exactly as it is. Normally, I wouldn't because I'd have other stuff in here. But
Coldzik
to start,
6198. Hi, could you tell me how to make pathing and masking?
if you scrub back to the beginning, you can see how I create the mask and start with the path. Um, if there's anything specific you're not sure of, I can certainly address that. And so here, what we're going to do is we're going to scale this down to so that they can fit on the door. Okay. I think that's probably going to be because we're going to have it angled up so we get a little bit more play in it. So I think that's probably going to be our go-to. Okay. Now in this one, we want to, which one is it? We're gonna flip it. We're gonna flip the one. Okay.
Coldzik 6198. You can try to make it same way as I did on Audi if you want to make it bigger, but will need some adjustment.
If I was going to do a logo that was going to span the multiple panels, this is where I'd probably touch more into 3D painting. But because we have a huge gaping hole here, I'm not going to bother getting the logo to span multiple body because we're just going to lose so much of it. So we're just going to get it to fit on the door. The path of least resistance on that. So I want to, which one? The one that's visible is the one I want to flip. So we're going to
Coldzik
flip this one.
6198. Oh, it's actual L hole there NVM, then I thought it same intake as there was on Audi.
Yep. And so all we did is we flipped it because I want to try and get as best positioning, similar positioning as possible for the two. So I flipped the one over to the other side and then flipped it horizontally so that it's not backwards. We'll work with this one. I want to try and get this angle to match the uh, to match the what's the word? Uh, the angle of the blue line. That's what we're going with. So I'm going to be moving it down. Let's go -9. I do like round numbers, but that does not seem to be the play. So we will go 8.7. All right. Cool. I think I'm going to remember this number, 8.7. I'm going to reset this. Uh, so because I found out by dragging this in the corner, um, it allowed me to pivot on there and align things up. But since I want these in the same spot, we're just going to reset this and go -8.7. And so now see how it changes the rotation to center, but we get the same angle. And now because this is the key reason, this piece is here. The other one was minus, so I know this one is going to be a positive number. And rotate. And we will export that. And we're getting our logo where we want it. And I kind of like exactly how that's not being interfered with, at least on this side, with the door handle. It is an issue on this one, so I could
Coldzik 6198. I love that Polish flag is just a red stripe cause of lack of outline.
Yeah, I should have. Usually, what I do is I try and actually outline it in black so it's a little bit more apparent, but I didn't. I might do it later, but I don't want to undo the work that I just did to do that. So I need to make a judgment call at this point as to whether I'm going to keep these where it is or make things smaller or drop things down. I think I'm going to drop things down so the top of the international brings down, and I'll have to match it on that side. So since this is the one in question, all I'm going to do is select it, and we're going to count the number of key presses it takes me to move it, because then I can move the other one in the same in the opposite direction the same amount. So, and because I want this international part kind of just below where that T is now. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 35 that we're going to do that. So, and we're going to come down over on this one. While I really like how this one looks, it would look really stupid if I kept that one low and that one high. So we will make that adjustment to 35. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, super excessive for this door, but here at International Troublemakers, we like to keep things consistent. Though I'm currently regretting my life choices right now. And I may actually try and resize this so that they fit between the door and there. So a lot of livery making is like, I had a vision, it didn't work. I tried to make a simple fix, it didn't work on that regard. So we will go back to here and let's choose this one. Scale. I'm hoping we can scale. I don't like the scale things. Can we do 500? Okay, and let's try and do 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try that. So that was 25 backup. We'll export that because that's the main side. I think we can probably come up even more. It's 25. Let's do another 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We might have to fudge it over to the left a little bit. I think that's actually pretty good. So I have to remember, if I ever forget as to what I scaled that to, because I want this one to match. Okay, I can do, click on undo history. It's not going to actually do anything, but I can find where I scaled. So the most recent action that I've done is at the bottom, and I can see that I scaled 500 by 157. So we're going to select the layer, scale, and we should be able to do 500. For the width. The height is a bit off, so I'm curious as to what the deal with that is, but I think the key is I want to keep the width the same. The height is just probably more of the extra space around it, because it's been that and crap. This is where I can't remember how many I moved up. I think we did 35 total, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll export that. Now I want to do a quick check to see how these two are aligned in the front, and I can do that by grabbing a guide, snapping it right on that one, because that is where I want that one is, and we can take a quick look and click on this image, and at least the edges of the image are lined up, and I'll just hit Control Z to get rid of that guide. All right, so I think we've got our international troublemakers exactly where we want them. And we can start designing on the bottom and kind of see we've got high colors coming from the bottom here, which then translates into this triangle. So that's just something to keep in mind as to how high this should be, because we want enough that it matches this angle, but then doesn't terminate too low. So I think we're going to try and tuck it up close to that. Now I don't like guesswork in life, so we're going to come here, go back to our blue layer. We're going to create a path that is approximately as long as where we want our point to be. So I'm going to use this line as a reference and click on that, and we're going to come all the way out, and we're going to use the line to create. Oh, see, they did something with Gimp in the latest update that doesn't. Oh, there we go. Okay, I have to hold Shift to be able to move that. That's kind of dumb. Perfect. So we're gonna make that visible. We're gonna come back here, use our move tool, and we're gonna just bring it down. So now we know this line is going to be parallel with that edge. On that, we'll choose the path, and we'll just use our arrow keys, or we can even use hold Shift and come down. And I think that's probably where roughly where we want to end up in that regard. The next step is we'll be selecting it. We want to finish the design. This was just the key slant that we wanted on there, and we want to come down, and it'll just be determined. We don't want to be too aggressive because we do want to have it kind of on the higher side coming down and not super aggressive. So let's choose our angle wisely. Let's actually pull up the wireframe to get a sense as to where we're at. So this is one square below that. So that's roughly where our point is going to be. And so I think I want to come down from there, which means our crossing point is going to be 2 rows down below, right around here. And then our next point will have to be drawing that part out. So, oops. Okay. Come on. There we go. Let's choose it. And okay. This is no dummy. Okay, I'm gonna trick it in a second. So we'll click there. We'll click there. And now we can click on this one. The path tools aren't perfect. Like Gimp 2 point whatever worked nicely. They updated in this 3 and it just kind of does some weird things in that regard. So you kind of have to do some funky things. So again, we're just going to pick and do that break because we're going to have to come down here. Let's take a second look as to roughly where we need to be because we're saying this one comes to here. So it looks like we need to be where that ridge is, right there, and kind of to below that major bit. So it looks like we're gonna, maybe I can try and fudge it and stay above. That would be nice. That would be dream. Yeah. Okay. So let's run a stroke and see how this is going to go. So we'll stroke the path, make it the foreground. We're just gonna start with 10 and see how she goes. All right. So we got a couple decisions to make here. One, positioning of this. I think the whole thing, well, the whole thing doesn't need to come up because in all reality, we're going to have the outline that will be above a few more pixels higher than that because I did a thing of 10. So we should actually have get a little closer on that part. And we can always adjust the logo in the end if we need some better spacing. So I think we'll leave the height as is to there. And then the other part is, see that this is part of the other question as to do we want to bring it up higher? I don't think so and come down, or come down at a shallower option. If I extended this higher up to here, it gives me, I think I'd have to come down more aggressively. And I'm just gonna have this little stupid thing. So let's try and look at that. I think this needs to be adjusted a touch, maybe pulled out. Yeah. Yeah, it's got to come more to the right, and then we'll go from there. So, um, as I said, normally I would undo this. Let me think. Undo. All right. We're gonna go like that. Right. Right. Uh, you know what? Let's just use the top of this line as my mark. From there, and what we can do is fill it. We're just getting rid of the black and then stroking. Just getting rid of what we see on that. And let's now stroke this back at 10. That's going to be more aggressive, but we can make that adjustment. Yeah, I think that works better just with how short that is. Brings things closer. So now we will make that less aggressive, I believe, hoping that's the right call. We'll find out. Trial and error. We'll go with this. If I need to revise it in a future work on my own time, I will. I think. Let's see. Let's see how shallow we need to be. I think that one right there. So we're like halfway up. So the 1.5. Yeah, that one. And we will have that come down there, which then means that needs to be right through this one, I think. Right, because we're coming through, yeah, so it's that first bit. And for then coming from there to there to there, I think we need to line up to that buckle. Right there, and then I think we need to do something like this. This might mean it need its own line. I think that's what I'm going to do is I will leave that its own path because I can set that up. The reason being is by having that zigzag at this point, this becomes a really tight area. I will get bleed from one side to another. I'll be spending a lot of time fixing that up. So let's stroke this. See how things line up. See the general shape. Okay, so it looks like that needs to drop down a bit, not by much. That is creating a bit of an issue through here. But that might be an unavoidable matter just because I don't really have any space to create a break and try and line things up. Now I went too low. Lucky me. I know what I'm doing, I swear. All right. Export that. So as you say, like it's a lot of trial and error. Okay, so it's more that bend that's kind of creating a weird thing. I wonder. I wonder if I'll regret this. Just creating a weird break to see if we can offset that a bit. Normally I wouldn't do that because we're on the body. This just is a shot in the dark to see if we can make it better. And I think we're close. I'll make a slight adjustment. Yeah. Again, we're getting in this world where we're splitting hairs on that regard. So it's a question as to whether can I sneak in this break then? Be nice if I could. I'm just gonna save this again. Save frequently. All right, almost there. We almost got that. So that like the more that I can do um, in this, the easier it becomes to flip things onto the other side. I think we need to still do a little touch. I think this just needs to more come out like that. Stroke. Let's see. I'm in hell. I think we're gonna call that good for 2D painting. And so now we will simply make this fillable. So by doing so, we will uh, is that the skirt? I don't think so. No, because that's all that piece. Okay, there's not. Yeah, that's all one piece. I think that's something to do with the back of the rear. Yeah, because that's there. Boom. Okay. Um, yeah, so that's the full skirt. So we'll just come in because I don't know yet what these pieces are and what I want to do. We will eliminate them and I can leave that open with that. So we said we were going to stroke it, do 25, and then we will stroke it again, switching the background color, go to 15, being consistent, and then we will fill stroke using foreground color. And now fingers crossed, all these other parts line up. I think that looks pretty good. It's a little bit taller than I want, but we can do some work by bringing in some black um, on the skirt to kind of make that a bit smaller. So it's not so in your face blue, but it also gives us a lot of space for some logos on that. So if you have any questions, please ask. Is there something you want me to do specifically? Let me know. Um, as you see, like I don't really have any color except for like the red on there. If I well here, I'll show you how I do the throw in the logo and that effect with that. So we have the highlight logo. So this has already been transparent in between because that's the one that I use because we get some white space. Um, and for this one, I just want to take some extra text out of names on that. Call that high I1. Put that below. We're just going to create a new layer group. I like to keep things organized. Oh, actually, before we get carried away on that, we need to, remember, duplicate this. Make that less visible. Click on here, choose our transform, our flip, right? Remember to choose the path tool and we will flip that. We're going to hope for the best that this one works as well as the first one did. So we did stroke, foreground, 25, and stroke, 15, using our background layer, our color, to do the delete, and then we will fill foreground to fill in that big area, and then we will export and also save with that. Okay, so we've already spotted an issue, and I think that's just the difference in terms of logo placement. That this one needs to come up. I guess I didn't drop it as much as I thought I did. So we will make that fix. I don't think it's an issue with this coming up too high because it all looks pretty equal in terms of how it comes through the venting. There is a little tweak that we can make here as well. So I'm just gonna undo those lines just so we don't forget about this one. We'll use our arrow keys and we'll just come up by one. Oops. We are not on layer. Let's come up. How much do we think we need to come up by? That's like touching it. Quite a bit, eh? All right. Okay. International troublemakers. I think that's gonna be the money for that.
Milton Fod 7. Hey Kev, going for the Porsche in next season.
No, I actually plan to stay with the Lexus next season. I was planning to do a new car every season. For the purpose of the tutorial, I chose the Porsche just because I didn't want to make yet another MX-5 livery. I don't need that, but I do want to make liveries for other GT3s, so we chose it for that. I will eventually get to the Porsche. Hopefully, it doesn't kill me, but that's just what we're doing at this stage, and going from there.
Coldzik 6198. I think TTS is too loud compared to you voice, by the way.
Interesting. Okay, let me try and make that adjustment. Okay, so feel free to test. I dropped the
Coldzik
total Discord.
6198. Your voice is low too.
My voice is low too. Okay. Nearly 2.5 hours in, and now someone tells me? Bruh. Oh. Oh. Maybe that's it. Was that it? Do. Output. Input. Sound. How is this? Testing? Is that any better? Let me know. Let me know. Yeah, so I guess let's work on this. I need to figure out what was the issue again. Let's go back to filling this in as planned and then see what tweaks needs to be done. So stroke 25. Oh, foreground color. Stroke. And then stroke background 15. And then fill foreground. All right. Let's see how that goes. This just might need a minor adjustment. So it does appear that that last little bit needs to come out a bit because we're not, oh, we're doing it both sides. You know what? I'll leave that for now. I will do some cleanup after the fact. It's the close enough a future Kevin problem so that we're not wasting time on that because it is on both sides. Excuse me for a moment. I'm just going to step away very briefly to get some water. And we're back. The perks of having a bathroom in your office. Very, very handy.
Coldzik 207. Hi from the other side.
Hello from the other side. I'm confused. All right, so now we're going to get into applying
Coldzik
the hi.
207. I switched accounts.
Did you though? It's the same name. Same name. Uh, Getting in on that. Okay. So obviously this layer is way, way too large. So we'll scale it down. Try and ballpark to what we need.
Coldzik
This is
207. No, old one is 6,198. This one is 207.
Roger Dodger. Okay. So we want these roughly to be here. Let's go 170 as our size. And then we are going to skew them because if we look at this one, right, we've got a skewed on there. And honestly, what I do is I set the skew. I don't think I necessarily did it on here. I set how much I skewed it there, and I just ended up flipping it. So like all the angles are really the same, but they're inversed on that. So let's go here and kind of see minus 50. I think we want to do more. Maybe minus 80. We'll shear that and we'll get some ballpark look on that. Let's see roughly where that is. We're not going for perfection at this point. We're just going for replacement on there. I think honestly, this needs to be by the towards the rear window, which means we're not going to get a ton. Let's get out of that multi-car view. Yeah, because that window is its own thing, which for LFM purposes we can't do shit about. So we will move that over to here. We'll drop it down to get out of that. Okay, because thing is that's gonna be so far forward. So I think I want to try and get it on both. Right from that. It's kind of getting our imagination, the imagination station, as to where this is going to end up. Part of it is determining how much paint I want. Yeah. Maybe I should have started with the lower one, but this might be more of a nightmare than I wanted. Because theory we want that dropping down. This was, let's do a duplicate layer. Again, like I said, we're just trying to ballpark things. We'll put that layer on top. Oops. Right, and I think that's probably, we're guessing, we're ignoring this, trying to figure out roughly where things need to go on there. Thing is, just needing some different planning, Kevin. Cause like that's huge. That is huge. That is huge. I think high colors will be a future Kevin problem. I don't want to get sucked into this. Into that delirium, and we'll get to painting the hood on that. Let's. You know what? Someone asked about armor paint. Have we started to use it? I can do something really quickly. That. Let me see if we can get in something quickly. If no, we won't. We won't get an armor paint. Future Kevin problem. All right. So now we're going to. We need a solid hood. So this is where we can get away from paths for a bit because we know what we need. So we're just going to use the lasso tool to make our hood selection. Right? Because now that we're outside of drawing some precise lines, we can just be rough with what we need. We don't know what these little bits do yet, so I'm not focusing on them. As the livery comes together more, we'll start seeing little bits that aren't the desired color. and then we go on a hunt. Then this is where 3D painting does help because I can find those exact spaces and where they would show up on. Even I've used it for locating to do it because it shows me the 2D version of that. Okay, so clearly we need something there. For now, I'm going to decide that these will be blue, and that intake will obviously need to be blue. So, and I think that, I'd imagine that's going to cover both. And fill. Okay, so I was wrong on what that circle does. Cool. Cool story. And we will correct that by doing that. Nope. Edit. Bingo. See, we're not even deleting. We're just changing the mask. There we go. That looks better. And we still want to find those rings. Where, oh, where would those silly rings be? Right there. Pretty sure. This is the other part, is trying to identify where parts are. Sometimes they're pretty obvious because they're very unique shape. There we go. Other times they're not quite as obvious on that. So this is now where we want to start trying to start reflecting our design, especially the hood and stuff. So we got a similar kind of fender coming on with the vents, where that's going to be white. So what we actually want to do is choose a point where we can start making this white over the wheel well. I don't really want to get messing with those ovals too much. But see, in this one we used the headlights, which then creates the nice line for the hood. With the Porsche, we've got our hood down here, so like we could kind of use that, but I don't like that. We could in theory just use the hood itself as the blue, make that intersection blue, and then try and run an outline here as well. And in this case, we might have to run
Kolzik
it going around.
207. Fun fact. All-time peak for players for AC was 10 days ago.
I find that hard to believe. How far are you looking back? Because I think you probably haven't gone all time and not looking at 2020, 2019 numbers, because I think that would be your all time.
Kolzik 207. 20k players. Kolzik 207. On 27th OD December.
I guess everybody needed their Christmas fix. Okay, so we'll leave those blue for now. So then I think we do need all this blue.
Kolzik 207. Evo is doing 10 times worse. Face blue smiling.
Well, Evo's in early access still. um, like there's still performance issues, and like VR users, I can't get into it. Like I can run it, I can do it for a little bit, but it's really really rough. Either I can make it look like shit and have smooth performance, or I can make it look great and get shit performance. There is no middle ground. Any middle ground I get makes it look like shit and perform like shit. Uh, in that regard. Um, One other thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna create a layer for I always like to call it black parts or black. Um, and this is for things like little small bits. We'll add in a layer mask. We'll make it black. Uh, just to start getting some detail to it's kind of what I do when I get to this stage where maybe I need to mull things over and start seeing things a little bit more complete rather than just black or blue and white. So we're going to make the roof itself black. With that, what are that's the rear, right? That's got to be the rear. Or is it? Yeah, okay, that's there, so we won't make that. Want to make around the windows black. Just these little details is what can start bringing in the the livery as well. Uh, Takes zero effort. Okay, and we will go edit. Let's select that because we don't want to fill over that and go fill foreground. Don't fill. Right? Wait, what? Yeah, right? And then edit. There we go. I was like, what is going on? And that got big. I don't know what I hit um, when I did it because I did it before. All right, and so you start to get. Ooh, okay. Don't think that was intended. I thought that was going to be around the roof, right? Or around the doors. Am I wrong? Like, is that not the door? Okay. Like that should be the door and the window frame and all that fun stuff. Okay, cool. And if I turn this back on, we should be getting. Okay, yeah, okay. So it is going derp. Okay, so that's the door. Is that changing color or am I losing my mind? See? No, okay. That was always fully black. Okay. For some reason I thought it was a hole and then white. See, like you work on something for so long and it goes a little haywire in your head. Um, yeah. So this is where the point I need to start like thinking things. Let's go find those mirrors on that. Uh, the tutorial itself is at this stage is more kind of repeating the processes using the paths and the masks and stuff. Um, if you wanted to create a curve, let's try and do that. Let's see. Let's do something where I'm creating a curve. Though I don't think I necessarily need to. Um, damn. Okay. I guess we'll try and create a curve that follows that line, and we'll make that white. Uh, maybe. Yeah. You think? Because that can be the blue hood, and we can have the white out the outline going around. So, let's go back to here. Let's go. Oh, okay. Save this. So we are going to make the outer area white again. So we're just going to fill that. Okay, cool. Um, all right, and let's export that to C. Perfect. I don't, not a huge fan is how that would look in there, right? Am I wrong? We can always color the front end and start, yeah, maybe we'll do that. All right, we'll bring a strip down and around and do that, which will require some curves uh, on this. So I need to see where we need to start on that, which of course, so that's the arm. I think we're going to start the two in and kind of have it come from that A-frame there and down. Okay, right. So we'll start that there and we'll bring that here. So I can't draw a straight line with this, right? Well, I can, but it doesn't make sense because we're crossing over uh, on that. So what we're going to do is we can click and hold, click and drag on the path itself, which brings up this node and allows us to adjust an angle. Now, this is oddly wavy. Oops. No, we don't want to. We want to edit. Nope. Why? Right. So I don't know what this is going to look like, but we're about to find out together. We'll make that 10. Foreground color. I don't expect it to look good in any way. It looks better than I thought, but as you can see, there's a bit of wave. So this is where I have to think about what I want to do because trying to line up everything is clearly going to be a pain in the ass in that regard. Um, I think generally, other than like keeping the stream going for keeping the stream going, I've shown all the steps of getting a livery together. Um, in that regard, I can like now it's just the point of me finishing a design and coming through it. But we've covered how to create the template from Content Manager, um, creating or getting the AO and the wireframe from Content Manager, creating the actual template file, to structuring the file and exporting and viewing in Content Manager live on the fly, and the tips and tricks we do to cover that. So I mean, I can keep working along if you want, um, or we can kind of wrap up what I can do. If you notice uh, how this car in particular has a nice satin blue, but the the white itself is fairly glossy. We can cover that. Now, this is something that others on LFM won't see. Only I will see it in terms uh, of how the livery system works, because LFM only applies the main DDS file. It doesn't apply any secondary DDS files you have, but we can certainly go over it. Um, what I do is from here, we'll click on the body. So we have the TX diffuse, that's the main body, but then this uses TX maps. Um, and that's going to be your mapping to set how glossy or satin or matte something is. So we're just going to copy that name for the time being. And I do this all within the same template. So with that, let me get back into that for a second. Um, I don't, why is this not going away? Okay, there we go. I'm just going to delete that path because I don't like it, and sometimes it's just better to get rid of things that you don't like. Uh, so we're going to create a new layer group, and I'm going to put this outside and above um, the paint, and we'll call it mapping. We will create a new layer, and we'll call this satin, and we'll create semi gloss. I guess I don't need caps in satin. Okay, and I have this resource. Where is it? FX resources file. Um, right here. That tells us what we want in terms of uh, glossiness and stuff. So we will take an eyedropper. These are the two colors that I use, blue and teal. The blue is the glossier of the two, and the teal is more of that satin color. So we'll take both of those colors, and in this case, we will add layer masks. We'll make them black. Add layer masks, make them black. All right. So what did I say? blue is glossy and teal is satin. So we will fill that color and fill that color. Perfect. And we want, right, we want the blue, I think we want the blue to be where the blue is. Could be wrong, but this is the wonderful world. So I'm going to go here to our map. Choose, I no longer need to be perfect. Choose by color. Come on, there we go. Click on that. So it's choosing every bit that is white in our map. And we'll also go to the black and do the same. And I think we have to hold down shift to do it. Yeah. So now we selected all our black and our blue parts. And we are going to fill that with white. Perfect. And we're going to make this whole thing white as well. Yeah, you're like, what the hell's happening here, Kevin? And now we'll grab this file name again. And we'll save this time. Come on. Minimize. There we go. This time we're going to choose the mapping layer and export as. We're not going to go export skin DDS. We'll export as new, or go export as where we have to choose. And we're going to export this as extension skin map DDS. And export the same export options, DDX options. And now when we look at that, our white is glossy and our black and blue has that satin look on that. So if you guys want that file that I use that gives reference, just hit me up on Hi Live and I'll share that with you guys for that. And from there, I will show you what I do for keeping high detail. When you export a
Mr.
DDS,
Truck 22. That's cool.
thanks. When you export as DDS, it compresses things and you can get some artifacting, like weird stuff going on. It's not so much as apparent right now, actually. I don't know how well this is making it out onto the stream, but you can actually see the shading is very, very pixelated, even though this is 4K, right? Because DDS gets compressed on export. So what I do only after when I'm done. So let's say, you know what, Kevin's made a bang up livery, um, and it's awesome. It's the best thing we've ever seen in the world. That's not true. And we're wrapping up. Even though I've been exporting DDS all this time, I want a higher quality uh, for that. So we are going to, these are our files, right? If you even look at how big this is, right? 16 megs. Watch this. We'll just steal the name of it. Okay. We'll we've turned off for exporting to, and we'll export to PNG. For exporting PNG, we only want the layers that we want to export visible. So now we're going to turn off the wireframe. We're going to keep it, and we're going to make sure we turn off the mapping for this effort. And we're going to file export as. We're going to put in the name and go .png. All right, export. We're going to keep all the default settings here, nothing fancy. So high. I don't even think we need to compress it, but we'll keep it there, right? And I just want to show you. So now we've got a PNG and a DDS. I will open up the DDS in Gimp and open up the PNG. First thing to notice is the size difference. 16 kilobytes to 3.6, right? This was a trick we used when we were on a different racing system, SRS, and we had a limit of 10 kilobytes for our liveries. And that meant we'd have to get it, like, do 2048 by 2048 livery, huge compression to even try and barely get in it. And it was just very frustrating. So we learned this PNG trick and we get a smaller file. So this is the PNG. Okay, everything looks pretty good. If we go in here, you can see the more pixelated things are. It's right, like you can see all the different pixels, whereas everything here looks nice and shaded, smoother, and that transfers over to your final livery on there. So that's what the images look like. And so we'll come here, we'll delete the DDS, we'll come to the PNG. Look, our car file doesn't work because now I've deleted the DDS. But we'll come to the PNG, DDS, you say yes. We're at still at 36 kilobytes. The image quality itself has not changed. Nice, smooth, sharp colors. And our livery reflects that. No weird pixelation in the shading and whatnot. So you get a nice, crisper image. And I keep it 4K, right? If I downsize this to 2K, the 2048 by 2048, things get kind of gross in that regard. So uh, that's everything I'm going to cover for tonight. Like I said, I could just keep plugging away and designing this livery, but I don't want to bore you to death. If I made a video that was like sped up and published it, then yeah, I could have probably done that. But we wanted to make this live. Wanted to address any questions that you had. If you have any questions now, now's the time to ask, and I'm happy to go over anything other than. But beyond that, I think
Mr.
we're
Trock
done.
22. Learned a lot of nice little tricks and tips. These would have saved me hours when I made the Tattoos Goblin Racing livery. Adam Galaxy TV. 4K all day. Nice tips, Kev. Thank you.
You're welcome. Appreciate the comments. And if you have any questions down the road, like I will go through this live stream afterwards. I'll put things on the chapters. Feel free to hit me up on our Discord, Hi Live. Shoot me any questions. If if you're not a member yet, please join. You can also hit me up on Adam Galaxy's or Cavalli's Discord as well. I'm not picky as to where I answer questions from, but gotta toot my own horn here and say join Hi Live as well if you're not already there. So yeah, that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging with me. I hope you guys learned something. And if there's anything more you want me to touch on in the future, I'm happy to. Might just create a video for that rather than a full-on live stream necessarily. And I will make a point of learning more for armor paint in 3D painting. There are better 3D painting suites out there, um, but that also comes with money. And so armor paint is a cheap, affordable way to get software legally, or even for free if you know how to compile code and stuff. But I do wish to learn that a bit more because it would make certain things a lot easier on that. But I'll try and learn a few tricks and at least put something together for the 3D painting aspect. So since there doesn't seem to be any questions popping up in chat, we'll call that a night. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night, guys. Ciao.
Kevin. Although I hear the Brazilian music in the background now.
Oi, oi.
Yeah, I'm driving and having Brazilian music in the background.
We're still on the Discord. I can hear myself on the stream.
Yeah,
Hey, stream. Yeah, we're Kevin. Discord.
Aí reina a pista quem vai segurar no limite do limite pra ganhar e acelerar. Correndo, a Riri tá no gás, tá pegando fogo. Baixa o combustível mais um pouco. Correndo, espero que curtiu a transmissão. No limite, meu irmão, o pneu já foi, a gasolina quase zero. Faz a curva, faz o traçado sem desespero. É pushing the limit, a gente vai até o fim. Low fuel motorsport é a vida pra mim. A Riri tá no gás, tá pegando fogo. Baixa o combustível mais um pouco. Espero que curtiu a transmissão. No limite, meu irmão. Acelera, força na mão. Acelera. Só mais uma volta, pouquinho de gás. Já ri, sente, não olha pra trás. A Riri tá no gás, tá pegando fogo. Baixa o combustível mais um pouco.